Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And in today's video, I'm bringing you another what if fanfiction type video. And as I've said in other videos, make sure to leave suggestions in the comments below on what other scenarios I can do next. And with that being said, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy all types of Spider-Man news, theories, gaming, and fanfiction type videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button to not miss any more content. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. What if Uncle Ben never died? So how is this all going to play out? You see, the events of Spider-Man 1, at least on the Peter side of things before Ben's death, will play out the exact same in my opinion. However, it will be Uncle Ben that changes. So instead of waiting for Peter outside the library, Uncle Ben decides to go home straight after Peter leaves. Peter convinces him to just let him walk home that night. After the whole responsibility speech, Uncle Ben agrees to let him be his own man after Peter snaps at him and they have their little argument. Uncle Ben goes home. However, when the guy robs the wrestling announcer at the payout, Peter still lets him go and says that he missed the part where that's his problem. The guy gets away. But because Uncle Ben is at home and he never gets shot, there is one detrimental change in the timeline here. Peter never learns his lesson. Now, while it is kinda sad that Uncle Ben was only used as a learning curve for Peter's character, it is still true. Peter will never really learn the true meaning of responsibility in the way he originally did. In the original movie, Uncle Ben teaches him about responsibility, but Peter doesn't learn the extent of what Uncle Ben was trying to tell him until later on in the movie after his death. Therefore, in this timeline, Peter never learns the extent of what Uncle Ben told him, as he'd still be alive. There was no consequence for Peter's action. Peter would go home that night frustrated and angry. He'd stomp upstairs and Uncle Ben and Aunt May would say that they've been worried sick about where he's been. And Peter says everything is okay and he just goes to his room. Aunt May says that they should talk to him, and Ben says that he's just a teenager, he's always going to act like this at his age, and says that they should talk to him in the morning about it, and Aunt May agrees. The next morning, Ben and Aunt May check to see if Peter is in his room because he needs to get up and go to school, and he isn't there. Peter had already left for school in the morning. He'd completely ignored Aunt May and Uncle Ben in his arrogance. Then Flash will try and apologize for the fight that they had the other day, and Peter in his anger will throw Flash up against the lockers and say, "You have no right to apologize to me." Tears start to swell up in his eyes, and he says, "Just because I have the power to fight back now doesn't mean that you get to be sorry for everything you've done to me." Harry will come up to him, and so will MJ, and a crowd of people, and they'll try and get Peter off Flash. Peter will let him go. And then Harry and MJ will try and talk to Peter, but then he storms off out of school. Harry will follow him. Peter will go to an alleyway and he just sits there, thinking to himself that he didn't even ask for these powers. And then Harry will find him in the alleyway, and he will sit by him. Harry will say that after all these years, why fight back now? And Peter says that it's complicated and that he wouldn't get it. Harry says with his father Norman, he'd get a lot of things. Peter says that when he got bitten by the spider, it gave him special abilities. He tried to win some money at a wrestling competition for a car, and that's how he's been able to beat Flash in a fight recently. He says all these powers have done is mess everything up. He had a falling out with his aunt and uncle, everyone at school thinks he's a freak, and the worst of all, he didn't even win the money after beating his opponent in wrestling. Harry is in shock and in confusion. He's more caught off guard by how bizarre all this stuff is. If you're wondering why Peter would tell Harry about his powers, is because at this point, Peter hasn't learned responsibility like I said earlier. He doesn't know the extent of the powers and how he should use them. And because Uncle Ben didn't die and because Peter didn't learn, he's just a regular kid with regular superpowers. And of course, any other kid would tell their friends about it. Harry asks him, "What are you gonna do?" Peter says that he doesn't really know. Harry says that this could be a big opportunity for both of them. Harry says that he could take him to his father Norman and they could do some tests and find out what these powers really do. Harry says that Norman would be really interested into how these powers work, and then he says that he could become super famous with all these powers. Imagine all the things that they could do with the special powers. Peter agrees, as this might be a way to bring in more money, not just to help Uncle Ben and Aunt May, but to buy a car to impress MJ. And on the flip side of things with Harry, this could be a good chance for Harry to finally impress his father, as he'd be bringing in Peter with really good superpowers. However, we'll see how that unfolds in the future. Also, Peter is still a decent person at the end of the day, but he also wants to impress the girl he loves. You see, now that Peter has these powers, he starts to grow a little bit of an ego. But Peter says that they shouldn't go around telling people about his powers yet, because he kinda wants to figure out what he should do with them first and how they work. And then Harry says in the meantime, he'll take him to Norman, and then they can figure it out from there, because Norman would really like to see this. And that has been part 1 to the What If Uncle Ben Never Died. Now, this is going to be a pretty big arc/series involving Peter, Norman, and Harry, and everything that happens there. If you do enjoy this type of content, leave a like down below. Tell me what you thought in the comment section down below as well. And also make sure to hit the subscribe button to not miss any daily Spider-Man news, theories, gaming, and fan fictions. And make sure to hit the bell as well so you get the videos as soon as they go up. You can be the first ones to watch the videos. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.